Let's face it, video games are really good at making shooting, stabbing and punching things way more fun than they should be.
But some games stand out above the rest with their buttery smooth gameplay, swift counters and perfectly designed combos.
This is Twisted Bite Gaming's 7 video games with the best combat mechanics. Fast-paced first-person shooters have gotten a pretty bad rap in recent years. However, there is always one exception to that rule, and that's Doom. Both the original release and the 2016 release have perfected the art of sprinting around a corner and turning anything that moves into demon puree. While not an overly complicated system, the run and gun mechanics are fluid, easy to use, and most importantly, effective. The 1993 release gave us glorious pixelated gore of the highest order with a multitude of weaponry suited to its own style of combat. The re-release of Doom in 2016 brought this notion into HD, meaning you saw the impact of each weapon, the explosion of the super shotgun, or the unforgiving kill zone of the BFG. Added with the new execution style glory kills, Doom just felt satisfying.
Okay, although we totally agree the combat system in older Assassin's Creed games aren't well known for being the most difficult and wouldn't appease to those looking for a challenge. But the spectacle the combat system used to deliver back in the early entries is something that you can't help but admire, even today. Assassin's Creed 3, which admittedly doesn't make its way into many top lists, we feel is the best iteration of the older style of AC combat system. We agree the story was awful, the protagonist was bland, and the tutorial was far too long, but the combat system is part of the game and we feel is being grossly overlooked. From multi-counters, leaping assassinations with any weapon, and skillfully butchering the dirty British with a tomahawk, the combat was so gratifying, and for that, we feel the neglected AC title has earned a little bit of love.
All of From Software's Soulsborne games have elegant, deep fighting systems that require constant focus and dedication to master. The combat in Dark Souls 3 stands out above the other Souls-like games because of its variety and the power it gives the player to choose their preferred way to slay the horrific creatures of Lothric, whether that's with melee, ranged, or magic attacks. Bloodborne probably comes the closest to topping Dark Souls 3 with its fast-paced, risk-reward based combat, but the ability to carefully create a character that suits your style, whether that's slow and powerful or light and fast, is what sets Dark Souls 3 apart.
Alright, this is a bit of an older one, but coming out late in the PS2 lifecycle, The Matrix Path of Neo is a great title that was largely missed by the masses. Unfortunately, most of our Matrix gaming memories are of the earlier and more popular Enter the Matrix, which, although sold amazing, was a pretty terrible game. Path of Neo, on the other hand, is a great game that lets you play as Keanu Reeves with all your favourite Matrix-style movesets and set pieces directly from the Wachowski movie trilogy. The game's combat mixes both bullet time and martial arts to make for some amazing gameplay, and if it's a game you've never had the chance to play, dust down that old PS2, get your wired controller out and get ready to lay down some Keanu Reevy spoon-bending action.
There are a few games that make you feel as powerful as God of War. Sure, a lot of the most epic boss fights are powered by QuickTime events, but the moment-to-moment gameplay of swinging Kratos' Blades of Athena and building your hit meter is as smooth as it is brutal. As the third game in the series, God of War 3 perfected the hack and slash formula, and with multiple weapons and magic spells to use, players had more ways than ever to bring a swift and painful death to every single thing they walk past. As one of Sony's biggest franchises, and with little in the way of story, God of War is all about its combat, so it's no surprise to see a game from the series high up on this list.
The Legend of Zelda was a childhood gem for multiple generations in the 90s and early 2000s. The Ocarina of Time was one of the standout games of the series and introduced us to a new, innovative and groundbreaking mechanic, Z targeting. This mechanic simply allowed the player to press a Z button and Link would lock on and track a nearby enemy. This simple idea made fighting in Ocarina of Time much more manageable. Remember, this was in a time where controlling the camera angle wasn't as refined as it is now. Z targeting locked your focus onto an enemy and tracked its movements, saving the seconds you would need to turn around and turn the camera in combat. The targeting system not only aided offensive combat, but enabled the player to dodge incoming attacks and perform counter moves. This transition from 2D combat to 3D combat was so successful it is still regarded as the industry gold standard today.
The Arkham series did something that nobody thought possible. It gave players a Batman game that made them feel that they truly were the Dark Knight. A huge part of that is the free-flowing combat system that is simple enough to learn, but requires skill and patience to fully master. The feeling of watching the combo meter go up and up as you punch, dodge, counter and kick a legion of goons makes you feel the power and controlled rage of the Batman, and Arkham Knight is the most polished and balanced of the 3 games in the series. As they say, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and there are plenty of games out there whose combat mechanics have been inspired by the Arkham series, most notably Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. Rocksteady look like they are moving away from the Batman series, but if the rumors are true and they are making another combat-focused superhero game, it may be the only one out there that can challenge Batman Arkham Knight at the top of this list. That was Twisted Bard Gaming's 7 games with the best combat mechanics. What games have we missed off this list? Tell us in the comments below, and if you like this video, head to youtube.com/twistedbardgaming and hit that like and subscribe button.